I'm YOLOing 450,000 at SPACEX. We currently have a 2 million market value currently with 4,177 shares of SPACEX. And this is why I am very bullish on SPACEX. We're just going to watch a video here to explain everything to you. Read that disclaimer. Make sure you read every word. All right. So they obviously are releasing, their shares. They wanted to release them $135 per share. Most of us didn't get that. When it opened at the market, opened at 150, right? Right now it's like 107, but this is like my bullish case, okay?
Hi, I'm Brett Johnson, Chief.
You know who that is? That's Elon Musk. No, I'm just kidding. That's Brett Johnson. Brett Johnson, okay? He's a Chad, okay? He knows about space, and he knows about X.
Financial officer of SpaceX for the last 15 years. Only one
He's
the
the
company's ever
CFO.
had, actually. And it's a pleasure to talk with you about SpaceX. Elon started SpaceX with the goal to change mankind and make us a multi-planetary species. And what's been very...
I mean, let's be real. We need to get off this planet, okay? Multi-planetary.
Expand that mission with our Starlink constellation.
What other company is doing that?
As well as with our AI solutions. At our core, we're really builders. We're the only company building the integrated hardware and software infrastructure.
They're a monopoly.
To really power multiple businesses. But we started back in 2002 at our roots as a space business. We achieve what others think is really the impossible, and we make that possible. If you look at some of the milestones that we have accomplished already in the space business, we're the first private company to develop and launch a liquid fuel rocket and reach orbit back in 2008.
Now here's the thing, right? Before I get into this video further, I am going to pause throughout the video to kind of reiterate some points that he's making here. If you're the first at anything in life, you're the first to create the internet. You're the first to be successful in YouTube in this genre. If you're the first to discover something, the first person is always the biggest mover, always makes the most money, always has the best life, always had the baddest bitches, okay? You have to be first in life. You have to. You have such an advantage.
With the Falcon 1, we're then the first private company to successfully dock a spacecraft for the International Space Station in 2012. The first to successfully propulsively land a rocket from space, specifically the first stage booster back in 2015.
There's a lot of firsts.
And refly an orbital class rocket booster in 2017. The first private company to launch astronauts to orbit and fly to the International Space Station in 2020. We are the first to have really a fleet of rockets that end with reusability and drive from Falcon reusability today of the first stage to full reusability with Starship. 23 metric tons of capability with Falcon 9, going to 64 metric tons of capability with Falcon Heavy, to now about to be 100 metric tons with the version 3.
Look, this is what they're going to send Mars in. This ship right here. This is like stories tall, okay? Like, picture a building. This is stories tall, okay? They're starting to reuse these rockets. That saves so much on cost.
Starship.
Which they're going to get into the other stuff. Watch this video.
And really,
this is a good one.
From a rocket reuse perspective, that has been the unlock mechanism. It's really driven down the cost of launch and given us the ability to drive up launch cadence. Specifically, having a hangar full of rockets to show our launch customers, or having the ability to ramp to, just last year alone, 165 launches of our Falcon.
They're launching every single day, every other day. I don't know if you guys are realizing this. Like, yeah, you see the big ones in the news. No, they are launching every day into space. They're building a whole computation in space. 80-90% of satellites in space are from SpaceX. The U.S. government relies on SpaceX. And I don't know about you, but the U.S. government isn't going to let something it relies on fail. That's what I need to get across to you guys, okay? Do your own research, not financial advice. But, like, I'm putting $500,000 on the line on SpaceX.
Falcon 9, and now moving into fully reusable with Starship.
I mean, look at that. They're planning hundreds of launches. like in a year.
Starship really has an unparalleled capability from a cost efficiency perspective. If you look at where this industry has been historically and where we were able to get to with just
I don't know if you guys can see that. It says average cost of a launch, $18,500, okay? They're looking to get it reduced by 99%. They already got the price reduced by 92% for reusability and launches for low Earth orbit, okay? They're able to do it for the cheapest.
On the Falcon class, where we were able to drive out 85% of the historic cost, now we're looking at a vehicle that's intended to go drive a 10x improvement even from where we were already industry leading with Falcon. Along with the unlock from a cost perspective.
I'm just going to stop it right there. We can stop the video here. Rockets go up. It's literally a bullish symbol. You need to, like, who's
Starship
not investing in this
shit?
shit?
Unlock from a throughput perspective. So you see with Falcon 9 in the expendable category, let alone Falcon Heavy at 64 metric tons, going to 100 metric tons with version 3, and then already starting to work on version 4 in the design that should double that again to 200 metric tons to orbit.
If Elon does what he's planning to do here, and he's going to explain it in the rest of this video, he can buy the entire Earth. Do you look up at the stars and realize like how many planets and universes and galaxies there are? Earth is like a small penny. Okay? Think about capturing the money of the entire universe. That's what this company is doing. You're literally buying the entire universe.
How we accomplish the mission, one of the reasons that we're able to do this is we run what Elon calls the algorithm. And the algorithm starts with, first and foremost, making the requirements less dumb. Question the requirements is a key piece of our culture. We then move into deleting parts and process steps, and you see that as an example in the picture here, where you have the first version.
See, this is like fine wine, right? You start off with the ugly as crap one, then you get to like the refinement, and then you nail down the trading and you become a profitable trader at here, right? When you start off, you're taking a bunch of L's. Let's be honest. You walk around looking like this, you're a big L. But hey, once you got the function down, you look at how you optimize, okay?
The Raptor engine on the left going all the way to Raptor 3. And then once you delete the parts in the process,
called Raptor, by the way. One of the strongest dinosaurs, okay?
And then pivoting to the connectivity business, you know, again, the connectivity business is really enabled by our core launch capabilities. We have now launched and operate a high-speed, low-latency global broadband constellation, otherwise known as Starlink. And really, we feel
they're launching constellations of Starlink. You can get internet anywhere. You can go to train as a monk in the Himalayan mountains. They have internet now. Yes. You could watch whatever you want in the Himalayas now, bro.
Starlink is
That's a big market.
Satellite constellation.
Big market.
The V2 satellites that we fly today on Falcon deliver 96 gigabits per second per satellite, and we fly roughly 27 satellites per launch. But the V3 satellites
what did he say?
27 satellites per launch. But the deliver 96 gigabits per second per satellite, and we fly roughly 27 satellites per launch.
And out of all these launches they're doing into space, by the way, which they're doing hundreds of rockets a year, they're launching 27 of these at a time in space with gigabits capacity.
But the V3 satellites we're about to fly in the back half of this year are a huge step function in capability. In fact, per launch on a Falcon today with the V2 satellites to the version 3 satellites, it's a 20x improvement related to the capacity per launch with version 3. And in fact, that translates into, with 60 satellites flying per launch on Starship and each of them delivering roughly a terabit per second, that we will be able to fly 61 terabits per second of downlink capability per launch.
Do you know how fast 60 terabits of data per launch is in space anywhere on Earth? You realize how valuable this is. I don't think people comprehend how valuable that is.
What that quickly translates into is after 20 launches of Starship, we will be launching 1.2 petabytes of capacity per year.
Petabytes.
When you start talking about
you never even heard of that one before.
Actually looking at the Starlink network as a percentage of global internet traffic. It's also important to note that because of the fact that we're delivering from space, we're able to deliver in many...
you could get the Iran news in the war right now from Starlink, bro. You could.
Areas, and in many cases where terrestrial just can't...
You could be in a jungle. You know, there's people that live in the jungle still. I don't know if you know that. They now have access to watch anything they want, okay? You know how big that industry is?
Low-density populated areas, whether it's very remote areas, whether it's in very challenging topography where you just couldn't handle it from a terrestrial perspective.
You could be in Kansas now and have internet, you know? Before today, Kansas never had internet, okay? Now you could be in Kansas. You know, the tornadoes usually wipe them out, but now you got internet to let you know that they're going to wipe you out, okay?
Or on the mobility side, in the air, on the
ocean. In an airplane.
And
in
we've
a
been
ship.
Able to demonstrate over and over again, being able to bring capabilities and services and communication to areas in a disaster zone. We have the world's largest satellite internet network, roughly over 9,600 satellites. You look at all the others combined, and they're a fraction of what our constellation is. We're actually representing 75% of all active maneuverable satellites in orbit at this point. And our user base is significantly expanding. So we ended 2024 with roughly 4.4 million users. End of last year, we had roughly doubled year over year in the number of users to roughly 8.
They're doubling year over year their users, okay? This is growing fast.
0.9
People
million,
want Starlink.
And now, as of the end of Q1, approximately 10.3 million users on our network, over 100% year over year growth. Over 164 countries/territories that represents over 3 billion people being covered by our network. And as more and more companies and industries look to resiliency and reliability as critical capabilities, you're starting to see Starlink being brought in as either the primary or at least the backup solution in a lot of the fixed side as well. Aviation specifically, I have to call out because there's a tremendous amount of traction. You see an announcement almost every week now related to another airline talking about Starlink adoption. And then also on the government side,
you can watch whatever you want on an airplane. Whatever you want with Starlink.
Starshield capabilities, a whole separate constellation for the U.S. government. Again, resiliency being critical here.
And that's the thing. The U.S. government relies on this. This is going to give internet to everything, not just like your normal PCs, data centers, Internet of Things. Literally everything is going to be connected to the internet and is going to be using Starlink in 5-10 years.
And delivering core capabilities. And then the other piece of our very diversified connectivity offering is direct to the handset. So direct to device, we started out with our Gen 1 solution, which was really a proof of concept. We flew 650 satellites, turned on a service with 30 different mobile network operators around the world, the largest being T-Mobile in the United States, have coverage now for 1.9 billion people, and have proved that there's certainly a demand and excitement about having this capability. We now are in work to fly our Gen 2. This is full 5G quality to your phone. I think this will be the transformational unlock of connecting the other 3 billion people on the planet that had really been left out from the digital divide. And then lastly,
the cowboys, the Indians, the Mexicans, they all have internet now, okay? This is a huge progression, okay? The guy with that camel in the desert, he has internet now.
Our AI business,
his camel has internet.
It is really exciting to talk about where we're at from an AI perspective, because this is again following that same repeatable business model that I talked about, leveraging that unrivaled launch capability. We looked at following down the same path that we had done with the other businesses and really owning the full value chain all the way to the end customer. What made the most sense is for us to have our own frontier model and be able to capture all of that value. And so that's exactly what we did. We now have the world's largest coherent supercomputer with the Colossus 2 data center that we stood up with best-in-class compute GB300 specifically from NVIDIA. We have the first gig.
They're partnering with NVIDIA to make the biggest and best data centers, okay? There's a reason why it has $1 trillion valuation, okay? It's not just because, oh, it's overvalued. No, this is going to go to $100 trillion in our lifetime.
Gigawatt scale training cluster, the first gigawatt scale megapack battery installation there as well, and first to deploy the GB200s and 300s at significant scale. And so, having a gigawatt of nameplate compute draw is really compelling for us. But certainly I want to talk about the orbital AI compute that's coming in the next couple of years, because this seems to be...
This isn't a scene out of Star Wars. It's not the X-Wing leaving the hut here, okay? This is a literal AI manufacturing, sending it out to space. This isn't a ship. This is literally AI in space.
Future of AI infrastructure. And this is the clean energy solution. This is the solution that really addresses some of the concerns related to AI data centers popping up. The distribution capability that others may think is a constraint related to this, we've already demonstrated with our Starlink network today. And having, in essence, no operating cost, because you're leveraging the power of the sun.
Zero operating costs for data centers. And you're telling me they're not going to make money. Okay.
And cooling is radiative cooling off the satellite makes this readily available.
And you have the heating and the cooling. In space, you can cool the chips because it's space, it's cold.
Incredibly cost efficient. And so we are ramping up this capability right now, and in essence leveraging a ton of capability that we already have in place, whether it's the ion propulsion thrusters, whether it's the inter-satellite laser links between the satellites, or the flight computer or reaction wheels. Again, a lot of technology that otherwise would be blockers to doing this in the near term, we have in place. It's why we feel like we are the only company that can do this in any meaningful time frame. And what matters related to AI infrastructure is really creating that business model where if you start at the very top and leverage that connectivity capability.
You see that in the background? That's not the moon. That's Death Star, okay? That's coming.
Have to drive that infrastructure advantage for us. We then get to go right into the cycle of leveraging that, driving improved quality of intelligence, and lowering the cost at the same time of our token cost, monetizing that and driving that reinvestment back into that cycle of infrastructure. We certainly demonstrated our capability to go monetize this infrastructure with key partners in the industry.
They're partnering with the best of the best. They're partnering with Anthropic. They have their Grok. They're partnering with Cursor, okay?
For example, we signed a deal with Anthropic just recently to give them access and host their model on our data center, while at the same time allowing us to make investments in our own model, with an example of that being the deal that we announced with Cursor related to improving our own coding capability on our compute resources. So continuing down the path of
Anthropic, Google, all of the best companies, NVIDIA, they're all working with SPACEX because they have the capability to do things much cheaper at a much bigger scale in space. It doesn't even compete with Earth.
What we believe is best in class in the industry, deployment of cutting edge compute, and at the same time continuing to invest in our own models to even further that monetization in the future. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that we believe one of our differentiators related to our models is certainly the fact that we are designing them as advanced truth-seeking AI from the very beginning. It's certainly one of the reasons that Elon got into the AI business to begin with, is to have that really truth-seeking model. We certainly are also going to leverage the X platform that we have in place now that really brings us real-time information.
Follow my Twitter, Mr. Wall Street. Follow my Twitter, follow my YouTube, subscribe to it. This is like a good interjection. Just subscribe, okay? I'm here to give you valuable videos and information that you do not have anywhere else on planet Earth. Grok doesn't even know about this yet.
Real-time data is, I think, critical at all times, and I don't know that there's a better place to get real-time data than on X. So our growth strategy starts with space, increasing our launch payloads, getting to full reusability from Starship perspective, and certainly over time opens up whole new markets in the space industry, But what it immediately does is it enables our connectivity business to grow meaningfully, and now AI as well, where it's not just growth of our own platform on the infrastructure side, it also allows us to start hosting.
Keyword right here, government adoption, okay? That's all they need. All this other stuff they really don't even need. The government
others
needs to rely on them because they're the only company. They're doing it better than NASA, better than the government itself.
$6 trillion of available market that we're going after, really in three pieces. We are moving
$6
fast.
trillion market they're already addressing.
And cheaper than others in the industry, even related to deploying terrestrial compute. And we think over time, the enterprise AI market is massive. So an incredibly large total addressable market that we're going after, over $28 trillion. Not only are we positioned for those markets today, but I think it's exciting to talk about where some of the future growth beyond that really is even happening. And certainly when you start talking about space, we start to talk about point-to-point transportation terrestrially, manufacturing or productivity, potentially asteroid mining in the future.
He just said asteroid mining, okay? You know how many asteroids there are there? You know how much gold and oil are on those asteroids? Okay? They're going to have flight travel. They're going to have in-orbit manufacturing. They're going to manufacture the AI in space because it's going to be cheaper to produce in space. They're going to produce and manufacture things on the Mars and the Moon. They're going to do asteroid mining, literally go take resources outside of Earth and bring it back to Earth. Okay? No other company is doing this. And then they're going to create a slingshot on the Mars to shoot their satellites out into orbit. And they're also going to eventually take passengers to Mars as well.
Sure. And I think very
this is
exciting
coming.
Also is the lunar economy.
Might be 5 years, might be 10 years.
The fact that
but I want 100 times my money. I don't know about you.
Boots back on the moon, being able to build out sustainable capabilities on the moon, I think in the years to come will be a tremendous unlock for humanity.
This isn't the Death Star yet.
We feel like we've had a stellar track record already related to capital allocation and value creation. If you look at even in the life of the company from a space and connectivity business, the fact that we really only raised $9 billion and have created the business that we now have today, with last year alone generating $7.8 billion in positive adjusted EBITDA, while also investing for the future with another $3.6 billion of R&D just last year alone. I think clearly we have demonstrated both on the capital allocation side and the value creation that this is what we're all about.
This is how they're going to launch their stuff out in space, by the way.
And what that means from a financial perspective on top line, revenue has continued to grow meaningfully year after year after year. In fact, in 25 alone, over 30% growth year over year, just as we were starting to ramp, in essence, in the connectivity business, in generating that roughly $19 billion in revenue, also generated almost $7 billion in positive adjusted EBITDA just last year alone. And then in the connectivity business portion, you can see the significant step up where we grew roughly 50% in 2025 year over year.
They are starting to make more and more money. Once they unlock the universe has infinite money, okay?
And as far as building the infrastructure of the future, that typically takes capital. And so we are not alone in investing meaningfully in CapEx, especially in the AI side of the business now. And that's been the lion's share of the CapEx deployment for the last 2 years now that we have consolidated in our AI business into the fold here, where just last year alone, roughly $21 billion of CapEx, but a large percentage of that was for AI. And you're already seeing us monetizing a decent amount of that.
He said asteroid mining, okay? No other company even thinks about doing that, okay?
With the hosting deal.
You're going to invest in a boring company on Earth?
And
come on.
On the financials for Q1,
come on, the future is here, buddies.
Roughly $5 billion of top line just in the first quarter.
And now that they're public, they have a lot more leverage and money to expand upon this.
$3 billion.
And like I said, they're the first.
In Q1. But if you look at where we think we will be in the longer term,
revenue growth percentage, 33% in 2025, future significantly higher. Their gross margin, which is very important, right? It's 50% right now. They're expecting it to go about 70% profit margin, gross margin. And then net income, right now, they're negative 26%. It says net income down here. They're expecting their net income, their GAAP, net income margin percentage, to be 45%. That is crazy.
Well, we think that our revenue growth will be even significantly higher than that year over year. We think our gross margins are more like 70%, and that our GAAP net income margin is more like 45%.
They don't even have a number for revenue growth. They just said significantly higher.
And so we're very excited about where we're ramping into related to the
How do you put a number on the universe?
The significant growth that we believe we're marching towards. And so lastly, why do we think we're going to win? I think it starts first and foremost with our global leadership position in orbital launch services. We have an unrivaled satellite and connectivity platform that really leverages vertical integration from design, manufacturing, deployment, and operations. And now really truth-seeking AI models enhanced by real-time data from our X platform. That extreme vertical integration really enables high velocity and superior cost efficiency at scale. And really, the business models are incredibly difficult to replicate, right? Because of the fact that at the core, you first have to have that global leadership position in orbital launch. And so that unique ability to scale into new trillion-dollar markets across space, connectivity, and AI is certainly a reason that we think we're going to win.
To start a space company, you need so much money. You need government approvals. You see Amazon's trying to copy them. Their spaceship blew up. Their whole launch pad blew up. So now they have to rely on SPACEX or spend a bunch of money to rebuild their launch pad, because you cannot compete with this. A monopoly is a monopoly. And this is going to go way higher than people expect. Way higher than people expect.
And continue to be this mission.
Come back 5 years from now. It's $100 a share right now. Come back 5 years from now.
Thank you very
Bookmark
much.
this.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Come say I was wrong. Please. Please do it. I'll be sitting in my money, rolling around in it. I'll be on the spaceship. I'll be the one launching the stuff out of Mars, okay? Yeah. So you're telling me the people that are going to put people on Mars, they're making data centers in space for cheaper, much cheaper, because it's a lot cooler to do out in space, so you could bring down the cost. They're bringing down the cost of the rocket launches. They're getting more and more majority share of the internet across the globe. You need it for tracking missiles and enemy defenses as well. The U.S. government's back it. They're the only ones doing it. There's so much money to be made from asteroid mining, from sending people on Mars. This is coming. This isn't like, the sci-fi Star Trek. This is here, okay? In 5-10 years, the whole world is going to change drastically. Petabyte. You never heard of that term before. So, I hope you like this video. Make sure to subscribe, follow along. I'm giving you the updates. I have $500,000 of my own money invested in it. I believe. Do you believe? Do you want to be on the rocket, or you want to be left behind? Okay? That's up to you guys. That's up to you guys. Not up to me. That's up to you. So, love you. Talk to you soon. See you in the next video.